Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is Thursday, January 13th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Welcome, Frankie. You are number one. And how are you today, Frankie? And Shy Lady, you are number two. Okay, and Shy Lady, wow. I'm kind of surprised. You're here early. You're early today. You're early. All right, we are going to get started, and everyone else will just trickle in. And oh, you're home alone. That will do it all the time. That will do it every single time. Okay, let's see. All right, high school, would you do it again? How many people would want to relive high school? Would you do things differently? Would you hang out with the same crowd? And have you kept in touch with people? So that is my question today, high school. Me personally, I would not want to go back to high school. I did not like high school. It was just something that I'm sorry. Hold on, there we go. Sorry about that. High school is something that I just I just would not want to do. I was a dork. However, I was on the pom pom squad. But in terms of just doing it, high school was hard. I didn't have to deal with bullies or anything like that. But it's just a chapter in my life that I just would not want to do over. If I had to do something over, I would want to redo my college years, but I would not want to redo my high school years. So welcome, Jimmy. So high school, that's something that I would not want to do. And and when you do want to relive or you reminisce, what do what do you want to relive? What do you want to reminisce about? So those are my questions today. So this is Thursday, and Thursdays are usually supposed to be my fun show. So let's open it up. And Shy Lady, you have the mic.
Hey, Solid.
Hey, Shy Lady.
Well, high school, very, very good topic today. Sadly, the memories from high school for me were not good. I did graduate from high school in 3 years because I wanted to get the hell out. So I went to summer school, so I graduated a year early.
Okay.
When I think about high school, first of all, I went to high school that was predominantly white, and I had all honors classes, and there were hardly any black kids in my honor classes. Most of the black kids were in what they call regular classes, so I didn't get a chance to really have any friends in high school. When I did,
Okay, wait. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. Are you saying that last year when you were taking honors classes, or through all 3 years
all through
you were
high
in
school,
okay, all right.
all
I'm
through
sorry.
high
Go ahead.
school, and it was because of my placement scores. I was placed in honors classes, and I didn't have really a choice because I remember my counselor telling me, "You're going to take this course, that course. You scored this and that on the standardized test or whatever." And mostly all the black. And when I did have these classes, there may have been, I was probably one of three or four blacks in all of my classes. And one of my worst memories in class was, it was two memories that I really hated the most in high school. One was when we in American literature we had to read excerpts from Gone with the Wind, and the white kids in the class had pleasure, and I'm not sure why the teacher chose certain segments of Gone with the Wind to be read out loud. I remember there were several students who giggled every time they had to read the N word out loud, and they did say the whole word. And they would look at me and the other two black kids and laugh. And the teacher never did anything to deter the behavior or apologize. So that's another bad memory about that. And then the other bad memory was when Roots came on when I was in high school. I think I was a freshman when Roots came on. And I remember how the white kids would laugh about the slaves and talk about them and make fun of them. And, while we were in class, purposely so that we could hear and feel bad about it. So those are two of the worst remembrances that I have of high school, and I would not repeat it ever.
Okay, Shy Lady. So let me ask this. It seems like that your experiences have to do with race. So first, I'm going to ask you: did you go to a mostly white school? Was it half and half?
It was mostly
Um,
white, probably 70%.
okay, okay, all right. And and then the other question I have, and when you said that when you were in your honors classes, you were usually the only African American.
One of
Did
like four, one of four
Okay,
maybe.
but did you not reach out to the other African American kids to still hang out with them, whether or not they were in an honors class or not?
I had one kind of good friend that I talked to there. He was a guy. Most of the classes were that I was in honors classes with, they were guys. There was only one girl in my honors class, and it was just one, and she was a year older.
But that's not my question. My question
What was
is,
the question?
did you reach out to other black kids who were not in honors classes to hang out with them?
Um, Kind of, sorta. It's kind of a difficult. It was kind of a difficult situation for me because if you didn't go to class or live in the neighborhood with the kids that you saw in school, you were kind of a for me. I was kind of a I want to say like isolated because most of the black kids that I knew that lived in my neighborhood, they were somewhere around my age, but they were different. We didn't have the same classes together. They had their own cliques already. They were close to kids in the class that they were with. You see what I'm saying? I was
Okay,
like an
all right.
outsider.
Okay. No, I mean, I no, I'm asking, because I'm just saying, if there were other, black kids in
Yeah,
the
but
school,
I had a
that you
couple.
would.
I had a couple of friends. I had a couple of friends that I had from high school, maybe two, who were also pretty bright. We didn't have classes together, but I did have a couple of friends from high school. But most of the kids that I knew from high school were not on my level, if you know what I mean, mentally.
Okay.
I
All
was
right.
very mature for my age. I was into the books. I wasn't about a whole lot of mess because I wanted to go to college. And like I said, if you weren't in these regular classes with these kids, you kind of didn't know them. They had their
Okay.
own cliques, and I
Okay.
wasn't. I wasn't a part of a clique.
Okay. Okay, Jimmy, you have been waiting patiently. You have the mic,
Mm.
sir. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you. How are you doing?
I am good. I am good. So, what
Lady,
do you
how you
have to
doing?
say about Shy Lady? Jimmy wants to know how you're
Shy
doing.
lady.
Shy Lady?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had muted myself. I apologize. I heard someone come on, so I put myself on mute.
No,
I am doing
Jimmy
well,
wants to know how
Jimmy.
you're doing. Yeah.
I'm doing well,
Shy lady.
Jimmy. Thank
That's
you. How are
awesome.
you?
Great to hear. Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Good. Good.
Uh,
So, Jimmy,
Man,
what
we
do you have to
had.
say about high school?
I really do wish I could. If I had the chance to do it all over again, I would love to do it all over again. Uh, where do I mean? What were the questions specifically that
Well,
you
I
asked?
mean, like, would you do it again? Would you do things
Definitely,
differently? Would you hang out with the same
definitely.
crowd? And have you kept in,
No.
in touch?
Um, yeah, I would love to do it again. W- would I hang out with the same crowd? No. Um, simply because, well, let me put it to you this way. Okay, so in high school where I'm originally from, you know, I went to the prestigious, predominantly white high school. My high school was considered the jewel, the crown jewel of the school district there, and so you know, this. So we had an interesting mixture of kids in that high school. But yeah, it was, like I said, predominantly white. So we had our snobby kids, or kids that rich, or slash well off kids, the families that were really well off, and then you had like your middle class kids who, the family had money, but they weren't acting snobbish or jerks. And then you had the poor kids, the lower class kids and stuff, but they were really cool. I never had any problems with them. Actually, the people that I did have problems with were the upper class kids, because, like I said, they were real snobby, and for God knows what reason, they made fun out of the poorer kids. They even made fun out of some of the middle class kids for God knows what reason. I don't understand why they had to belittle people just because your family wasn't as wealthy as theirs. But I was just like, okay. But not all of them were like that. There was only some. But my thing was that, I was part of the popular group of kids for a while, and then I kind of like got out of it because I didn't like the way like they were treating some of the kids. I was like, I don't want to be seen in public with people like y'all if y'all gonna be degrading people just because of their family's money and stuff. And like, that is not a way to degrade, or not a reason to degrade someone, or not a reason to be mean to someone. If you're going to be mean to someone, at least have a legit reason. At least have a legit reason, like they're being mean to you, or they're doing something terrible and that you don't want to be around them, and you're telling people how bad they are. Something legit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I stepped away from that crowd of kids, and I started hanging out with a group of kids. I started hanging out. They weren't really the popular kids, or like the well liked kids, and I kind of regret hanging out with those kids. I felt sorry for them, but I kind of regret doing that because you know I had a because I did that. My high school life was kind of shitty, and I had a shitty outlook on life because of that. And I like I said, not all the wealthy kids were bad. Just or the upper class kids weren't that bad. Not all of them. They were actually really good kids. I still keep in contact with them, and actually, some of the kids. It's funny because some of the kids that kind of bullied me about that, I ran into them a few years later. Ironically, above all places, at a random bar, like a little lounge bar, just hanging out with some friends and all, and my brother. And then I had this random guy come up to me, and he was like in tears, crying. He's like, dude, I'm sorry. I feel so bad what I did to you in high school. And I'm looking at him like, who are you? Like, because I didn't recognize him at first. And he's like, oh, it's me, so and so. I was like, oh shit. I was like, dang, dude, like I didn't recognize you. He was like, yeah, no, dude, it's okay. We were dumb kids, we all said and did dumb things. And it's kind of funny because after that, him and I became really good friends. And even some of the girls that I'm not afraid to admit it, there were some girls that would just pick on me because they were selfish, greedy, spoiled little shits. And I had some girls that would pick on me too. But yeah, me being a colored person, a Latino, a dark complected Latino with a white last name, growing up like that, it was difficult because a lot of Mexicans or Latinos did not, a good portion of them did not see me as part of their race because I had a white last name, or I have a white last name, and not a Hispanic or Spanish last name. So some of them shot me out of the Latino group because I'm not a real Latino, quote unquote, what they said.
Well,
And
okay.
then
Can I ask you in terms of your last name, was it changed because of Latino to assimilate more or not? Or
No, my great great grandfather came from Scotland. It's a Scottish last name. So,
okay.
and my family, if you look at my family, it's very funny. It's very interesting because we have a good portion of my family. They're dark complected Hispanics, and 25% are actually white. They're they're white people, white, and then the other 25% are white complected Hispanics. They look white, but they're not really white. They're Hispanics. So I mean, we have an interesting mix uh, in my family there, and yeah. So like, so they see my like I had a, like I said, a portion of the Latino community. They saw my last name and they automatically assumed that I was my family. We were white. They that's the way they considered us was white. We didn't weren't considered Hispanics because of our last name. But I was like, okay, whatever.
Okay.
Uh,
All
I
right.
never really let it get to me, but it upset me that some of my people will mistreat my family and I because having a white last name. But yeah, I mean, and there's a girl, like, honestly, there was one girl that I really, really cared about. She really liked me too. And I never, like, it went over my head. I never really understood uh, that, like, well, I mean, how can I say this? Okay, it's like we knew we liked each other really well, but, I was kind of afraid of my feelings because I never experienced those feelings before. And I felt like I really screwed up, that if I wish I had a second chance with her, I would change things.
So this is someone that you liked all during high school, all 4 years?
Actually, three. I met her during my sophomore year,
Okay. All right.
but
All
she was
right.
like the sweetest, most loving, compassionate person I've ever met in my life.
Wow. Okay. Well, you and Shy Lady, you guys both brought up some interesting points. Going to a mostly white school. My school was mostly white.
Mm,
When I left, it was almost half and half, but it was a mostly white school. But we didn't have to deal with the in terms of snobs, in terms of you know um, we're better than you.
mm-hmm.
We have more money than you, because ironically, a lot of the black students, their parents were lawyers, doctors, whatever. Where the
Yeah,
white kids weren't. So but we did deal with our share of like racism, whatever, but not the way it seems like it is now. um but for me personally, again, high school is just something that I would not want to relive. And there are two people from high school that I do keep in touch with now. So for the
cool.
last, I am dating myself for the last 40 years or so. We literally, we keep in touch and we talk, what have you. But yeah. And then Jimmy, you bring up
Hmm.
an interesting point of when you're in high school. And anyone else who wants to join the panel, feel free. If you just want to listen, that's also fine. When you're in high school, why does it seem like you always have the haves and have nots? And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about, you have, the kids who, are popular, but they always seem to pick on the unpopular kids. And usually the unpopular kids just want to be left alone. Let us just stay in our little corner here. We're not bothering anyone. All we want to do is, go to school, go to the cafeteria, have our lunch without somebody throwing something at us or whatever. But why does it seem like that the popular kids, and I know I am stereotyping, why does it seem like, which I hate doing, why does it seem like the popular kids are always the ones that are picking on the non popular kids or the nerds? Why does it seem like that every school has the haves and the have nots? We are popular, so therefore, you are not, so therefore.
Well, honestly, in my school, yeah, I got to admit. So when kids bullied in my school, and I know it's not the same in all schools. There's different reasons why people bully, but it was a kind of like a split kind of reason why they did it. So like half the reason why the kids, and it wasn't just the rich kids. I mean, I'm talking about all in general. They picked on other kids was because those kids were doing something wrong and they wanted them to stop. So, and it did work. It did work. Those kids did stop doing what they were doing. Now, the other half, it was a mixture of because the kids were little assholes and because they can. And then, and then it was another portion of because they felt that they wanted they wanted some kind of security. They felt that if they brought someone down, they felt better about themselves for God knows what reason.
Okay. Now, Crucible Man says same reason big countries pick on smaller ones because they can. Shannon, so I'm going to invite you in to take the mic. What do you have to say?
Okay. What the question was, why
Well,
the
I mean,
popular kids?
just in terms of, would you want to relive high school? Would you do things differently? Hang out with the same crowd? Have you kept in touch?
Um, Actually, I wouldn't change a thing. I had a blast in high school. I mean, it was probably one of the that whole decade, probably from a freshman till my early 20s, was probably the best time in my life. Because because I was on a jazz team and I was smart. I hung out with the rich kids because we were upper middle class, but then I was still cool with the cool kids, and it all. I do believe that people, if you have a little money, you drive a good car, you're always gonna kind of seem like you're in with the popular crew. But my high school was so together, we didn't have a lot of trouble. I grew up in Dallas, and we had cliques, but the cliques kind of intermingled, and there was not a lot of there's a lot of camaraderie, if I'm saying that correctly. um, I loved my high school. The parties were just unbelievable in Dallas. I mean, I'm telling you, I still haven't been to parties like that unless it was in Hollywood. Um, One thing, yes, I have kept in touch with some of my high school buddies, like just 2 or 3, but yes, they're still in my life. And I actually wouldn't change a thing, not a thing. I really
Okay.
enjoyed my high school years.
Okay. Shy lady, I'm gonna go to you. So just in response to what Jimmy said, since he went to a mostly white high school, also, did you hang out with a particular crowd or anything? I mean, I know that you said that you were in honors classes and what have you, but did you hang out with a particular crowd or group that you would have not hung out with normally if you had gone to a mostly black high school, or mostly, or you went to a Latino and black high school, or?
No, I didn't hang out with a particular group. There was one girl that I knew from like third grade, and we'd always been friends since third grade. So she was like a good friend all the way through most of my adult years until I was like 30. Then we kind of like parted ways, but we always had kind of like friction. She and I just kind of departed ways with her. But she was one friend, but I didn't have like a particular group of people that I hung out with. No, just a couple of people. There was another girl that lived down the street from me, and we're still like kind of friends to this day. Um, Even though we're both in different states, we mostly keep in touch on Facebook. We kind of went like different paths in life. She got pregnant in high school, kind of led a different life. I went to college. She never went, but still keep in touch with her.
Okay, so I have a
Hmm.
question for you, and uh, I'm going to ask both you and Jimmy, but I'm actually going to let Jimmy have the mic next. For Why do you think that high school stays with us forever? And what I mean by that is, no matter how you try to get away from high school, somewhere along the way, some memory is going to pop up. High school just kind of hangs with us, where elementary school, yeah, okay, little Johnny, he pushed me down, whatever. But high school is something that, you can find yourself, driving down the street, or if you're cleaning the house, or if you're at the market or something, it's like you think about high school, something in high school, or you see somebody, that looks like somebody that you went to high school with, but that word high school comes back. Why does it seem like, that high school is always with us? And Jimmy, I'm gonna go to you first.
I think, in my opinion, I think that high school stays with us because that is the time of our life where we're in between process. So what we do as teenagers in high school affects our mentality or affects our outlook on life and how we progress forward as adults and what we do as adults, whether we become productive citizens or Lord forbid anybody becomes a criminal or they do bad stuff or they're not productive. In other words, um, it's also that time in life where we we build upon ourselves, which kind of goes back to the first part. But when I say build upon ourselves, we realize what kind of people we want to be and how, and as seeing like the little cliques in school, we put in our minds, we built that in our minds saying, hey, this is how people uh, like, and like the business world. If I stay chummy with my boss and the assistant managers and the people in the upper parts of the business, I'll be invited to all these places. And it's the same thing in high school. If I stay with the popular group of kids, the kids that are well off, I'll be invited to these fancy parties and other stuff. And we develop that understanding at a young age. And I think high school always comes back to us. Our high school experiences and the things we learn in high school will always come back to us. That's one thing that we will never escape in our lives because it's a
Okay.
building block of our life.
All right. Shannon, you want to answer that question?
I just got back. Can you pass me? I'm sorry.
Okay. Shy lady?
Yeah, I have to agree with Jimmy. I think that in reference to your question about why does high school stay with us, I think because you're not an adult yet. When you get to college, if you go to college after high school or whatever route you take, after high school, you're pretty much a young adult. In elementary school years, you're a kid. You really don't know anything. But high school, you're becoming kind of who you really are probably going to be. You're forming those years. So I think that's why high school stays with us most because you're not really a little kid anymore, but yet you're not really an adult yet. It's kind of like in the middle.
That's interesting that you say that. Hold on, Shannon. I'm gonna go to Crucible Man, and then I'll come back to you. Crucible Man, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I agree with both Jimmy and Shy Lady. I think we're in a transition period. We can get. I don't mean get away with a lot, but we're allowed more latitude when we're in grammar school because we're just kids. And even though we're probably still mentally still kids in high school, we're about to go through a critical transition where our brains are changing, our bodies are changing. We're starting to get interested in girls and boys, and we're ripe for ridicule from other insecure high school kids who are also going through their own set of growing pains. And so I think it's a difficult time because a lot of kids suddenly develop a severe acne problem. Somebody might be gaining weight, and there are no crueler places in the world sometimes than high school locker rooms or high school cafeterias. And I think it's a lot of insecure kids who don't know any better and who maybe I don't want to get into a conversation about bullying, but you don't want to be the one singled out by the crowd. So the best way to avoid being singled out is to join the crowd. So I think we're going through a lot of growth spurts, both psychologically, emotionally, and physically. And each person goes through it at a different pace, but we all know we're going through it. And hormones are raging, and there's all kinds of things that we don't know how to manage. And we're about to become adults. More is expected of us. We usually get our first jobs, and that brings on a whole different environment in a workplace environment. You're working at a McDonald's or a Burger King. That opens up a whole nother can of worms for criticism and insecurity. So yeah, I think there's a whole transition process that goes from, because we're very different people in college and we're very different people in grammar school. I think that that high school period there is kind of the Bermuda Triangle, where if you can come out of that thing okay, you probably got a pretty good shot. But it's a rough 4 years for a lot of people.
Okay. Shannon?
Let me do the hearts first. Okay, there we go. Yes, I agree that it's definitely a transitional period for high school students. You're becoming a young adult, but also a factor is your home life, because you're deciding to go down a path. Like you said, either it's the college path or it's the work path. But high school does, your home life does predicate that road. And I'll give you an example from me. In the 80s, I mean, we had money, but my dad was real a ladies' man. That's kind of an understatement. Uh, and in the 80s in Dallas, I mean, the older people were involved in cocaine. And it wasn't just the shady kind of cocaine it was cocaine and big satellite phones, but it was like Armani suits, and they all thought they were like Miami Vice, and I didn't do that, and so I went to work instead of going to college. I opened my own business, and then I also worked as a waitress and a bartender, and I got caught into a rut of just staying in that hospitality industry because I made such good money, and I made good money doing my silk trees. So, and then years went by, and I guess you could say I was a late bloomer. I decided to go back to college and did quite well. But I think those formidable years, it molded who I am, and it stemmed my drive, my ambition. And I don't have small goals. I mean, I think on a very large scale. And if I fail, I get up and I try again. I think the way I am is because of all the obstacles that I had. And I actually had to be the parent. I mean, because my dad was the wild child, and I was a very studious student. I didn't drink like everybody else. I didn't do drugs. Occasional doobie here and there, but that was it. But he was all his friends. I would come home and they'd all be laid out in their couture, you know, like till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I moved out at 17, and I never went back. And but I think because I did that, I definitely think I will be successful. You know, so
Okay. Well, I want to read something to you guys, and you tell me if this is if you guys say yes, no, this isn't true. You kind of well, anyway, let me just read it to you. Okay, the English Romantic poet Robert Southey believed that, and this is what he says: the first 20 years are the longest half of your life, no matter how long you might live. Do you guys think that is true? And I'm going to go to Shy Lady first.
Yeah, I think that's true. I really do. Um, it's the longest. It is the longest as far
The
as
longest
formative
half of,
years.
of your life.
Yeah, I think that's true. It's because it's those formative years. So much. I mean, once you age, not too much, but those formative years, I'd have to totally agree with him on that.
Okay. All right. Jimmy, what do you think? But wait, hold on, Jimmy. Before you answer, Crucible Man, you became super fan finally. Thank you. Okay, Jimmy, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
What was your question? You cut off on my side.
The first 20 years are the longest half of your life, no matter how long you might live. Do you think that's true?
Oh yeah, I say so. I say so. Simply because of all the challenges and obstacles and that life throws from you since like the second you're born into this world and then until you're 20. In that time frame you have so many obstacles and things that happen in your life. From elementary, middle school, high school, the changes that you go through and understanding who's the who's really a good friend, who's not, and learning the ups and downs of life, and and understanding, where what you want to do in life and where you want to go.
Okay. All right. Um, I want to make a point on that, but I'm going to go to Shannon. Shannon, what do you think about the first 20 years being the longest half of your life? Shannon? Okay. I will go to Crucible Man. What do you think, Crucible?
I don't necessarily agree with that because, as a person who's no longer 20 years old and haven't been for a long time, my life has slowed down significantly from the time I was, becoming a 20-year-old. I mean, I had so much going on in high school. I know we're kind of past that. Would you go back to high school again? But, I'm kind of with Shannon on that one. They were some of the best years of my life. Had a lot going on, played sports, had a girlfriend, had a bunch of friends. And, it was just, it was a ball. It went by so fast. I couldn't believe it. But now, as you get a little bit older, the friendship group shrinks a little bit, and time passes a little bit more slowly. So I thought the first 20 years went by like a rocket, and the next 20 years after that, almost as fast, because I had a lot going on. I had a lot of activities and a lot of friends, and I was traveling a lot. And now I don't travel really at all. My friendship group has shrunk, and things have just slowed down. So I thought the first 20 years were exceptionally fast, and the last 20 have been a little slower than I anticipated. So I'd be curious to hear if somebody wants to provide some details as to what specifically about those first 20 years made it seem so long.
Okay, Shannon, before I go back to you to give the mic, I want to also state I read that part, and then I want to read this part. So, Crucible, this may help you out a little bit. Memory researchers have identified something called the reminiscence bump, which confirms that the strongest memories for the events in our lives come from things that happened to us between the ages of 10 and 30. What do you think about that, Crucible?
Yeah, I think that has a lot of merit. Yeah, I do. I mean, that changes the dynamic a little bit from 20 to 30. So yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. Most of the memories that I have, both good and not so good, have come age of 30. I mean, I've got some pretty good ones over the last, 20, 30 years or so, but nothing like the first 30 years. And you're right, they stay with you. Certain things trigger them. You have, memories that you don't have. I'm in my early 60s now, and I have memories from when I was in my teenage years, in my 20s, that stay with me more than something I probably did 10 years ago. There's an indelible impact that things have on us at an early age. And there's an old saying, there's nothing new under the sun. And that can apply to getting old. There's no novelty in life anymore. We've kind of been there and done that. And even though there's still plenty of time after the age of 30, travel and be in relationships, get married, have kids. I mean, you're just starting out. But the memories that really stick with people, I think, are from the formative years. And there's a reason that, the root word of formative is form. So much is forming in our lives, in our brains, and in our bodies that it's impossible to ever escape the indelible memories that period of time had on us. We typically
Okay.
have been forming lifelong friendships during that time. We don't form a lot of really solid friendships when we get older. It happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but the really formative friendships are the ones that, to me, that seem to last.
Okay. Well, I can honestly say that my 20s, if I can do them over, I would. 20s were my worst years, and my 40s were my best years. So, Shannon, you now have the mic.
Sorry about that. I'd lost my mic. Um, I the first in high school, it just seems like it was forever, and that's kind of good because I had such a great time, so it lasted longer. And but like the last 10 years, how horrific they've been, it just seems like it's just flying freaking by. And I don't know why that is, because when you're at that age, when you're that young, you're becoming the adult. That's when you're supposed to make all your mistakes. And what makes you an intelligent person is you actually learn from your mistakes. And if you don't, well, you're going to have it really bad as you get to an older adult. But I don't know why that is, why time is just going by so fast. It's too fast, don't you think?
Well, it's like this. As we get older, the years seem to go by faster, at least for me. And when you were younger, you're like, your birthday came around and then you're excited for your next birthday. And it seems like everything just goes by really, really slow. But when you get older, those
I
years
know.
just seem to
Horrible.
fly by. So, yeah.
Oh, I want to live forever.
I don't want to live forever, but I would love to live to be at least 100. So, Jimmy, what do you think? The strongest memories for the events in our lives come from things that happen to us between the ages of 10 and 30. What do you think, Jimmy?
I have to agree. I think they do. I mean, my happiest, strongest memories, and even the memories that are hard to talk about and stuff, they came in between that time. And those memories or those events in my life, they help shape the person that I've become. And um, those are, I think it's crucial age time, like you said. And uh, yeah, I mean, it's amazing the memories that you make at those ages and the stuff that you do if you're blessed enough to have a great childhood and a young adulthood, and stuff like that. Because I understand it. I know not many people have grew up having a great life and having great memories. And even, like I said, even the bad memories. I mean, the things that happened to me in my life that I consider not good or bad. I'm kind of grateful for those too, because, uh, like I say, it's the downs. It's not the ups in life, but the downs in life that push you to become better.
Okay. Okay. Shy lady, you want to answer the same question?
Oh, sorry. What's the question again? I apologize.
You guys are not listening.
I was listening.
No,
I was
no. The
actually
the
fixing
events
something
of
to
our
eat.
lives, the strongest memories for the events in our lives come from things that happen to us between the ages of 10 and 30.
I strongly believe that because my I know you said your 40s were good. My 40s were better than my younger years, but I do have strong childhood memories between those ages up to 30. Very strong memories. My 30s are kind of a blur, believe it or not. But I'd have to agree with the author who wrote that. Definitely, those are very, very strong memories that come up a lot. I don't have very many memories of the last 10 years as much as I do the past.
Okay. All right. So going back to high school, um, crushes, embarrassment, you want to be popular or you're not. You have um, the people who are on sports. You have your awakening of your sexuality, your academics. Either you were a good student, you were a fair student, you were average, whatever. Um, do all of those things make high school special, whether or not you want it, whether or not it was special for you or not? So I hope I'm making sense. All of those things, put together, does that
Say,
make
say that.
life special? You have all these things, whether you have a crush on someone, you're embarrassed, you want to be popular, you're getting into the whole sexual thing, you're trying to be social, you want to be on sports, if you're a good student or a poor student. Does that make high school special, whether high school was special for you or not? Am I making sense? Welcome, a feisty one.
No, you're not making sense.
Okay.
No,
All
I'm
right. Okay.
confused.
Okay. Okay. What I mean is that I did not like high school at all. Okay. Like I said, I was on the pom pom squad. I did have my circle of friends. I wasn't bullied or anything. I was a nerd. I was an okay student. I hated high school, but sometimes I look back at high school, and high school was special for me in certain ways. You know, being on pom pom, it built up my ability to get out in front of people and perform. But at the same time, it's like I was teased for certain things. I wasn't bullied, but I was teased. And sometimes when I look back at high school, it's like um I hated it, but at the same time I'm glad I went through certain things because it helped me to where I am now. Am I making sense now, guys? Is anybody getting me?
I don't see the question in there.
Okay, put like this. What are your thoughts on what I just said? Meaning, do you think that that everything that you go through in high school, whether you're popular or you're a nerd, whether you're on sports or whether you just every day you keep your head down and you're just reading a book, do those things make high school special for you? Did it help you? Um, okay, never mind. Never mind. I know what I'm trying to
I
say,
can
but I'm
answer
just
that
not.
now.
I'm okay. Okay, never mind. I'm not. I mean, I know what I want to say. So I apologize. I will go on to the next question. So I want to ask you, for the people who had crushes. And Jimmy, you said that you had a crush on this one girl, whatever. Do you think if you had finally had the nerve, to go up to her and ask her out or whatever, do you think your high school years would have changed? You think your high school years would have been
Uh,
different?
Definitely. I think there definitely would have been happier and better. And I think if I just in general, I was the shy guy really in school, and I don't even know why I was like that. Like elementary, middle school, I was really outgoing, happy, happy go lucky guy. But for some strange reason, when I got into high school, I became kind of reserved, kind of shy, and like I said, I stepped away from certain crowds of people that I was hanging out with because of their attitude towards people, and uh, I think maybe that had something to do with it too, because I was kind of like afraid to approach people because I didn't know how they were, going to behave or how they were going to act towards me. Because of that, because those group of kids that I was hanging out with that I walked away from, they were actually uh, the very prestigious, popular kids in the high school, and they were the kind of kids that they would say, "Nobody tells me no. I get what I want." But apparently, I was the first one to tell them no. but,
Do
but
you
I
still?
guess
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but yeah, I think if I would have, if I would have just put that feeling I had inside of like the self doubt. I think my thing was I had self doubt. I didn't in high school. I felt like, I mean, I really loved her. I really liked her. She was a great person. I just, for some strange reason, I put the whole, I guess you can say, like Beauty and the Beast kind of syndrome in my head. I didn't think I was good enough for her. For God knows what reason. Mhm.
Okay, and what you just said, I guess you said it better than the way I was trying to explain it. But because of her, did that part make your high school life special? Even though you didn't act on it, but the fact that you liked her, did that make your high school life special for you? Like when you look back at
Oh
high school,
yeah,
she is like one of the
definitely.
things that make your okay. All right.
Definitely. Honestly, she is the only thing that when I think of my high school life, she's the only person or the only thing in general I think of in my high school life that actually made me happy and made me want to be in high school. Or just to see her every day. Just I mean, even if I didn't speak to her, just to see her smile from a distance made my day, no matter
Oh,
what kind of day I was having.
so is she somebody that you still think of from
Yes,
time to time?
yes,
Okay, all right.
she is. I haven't really kept up with her. Honestly, the last time I talked to her or kept up with her, and I ran into her and her sister actually, and she was telling me that she was just about to graduate from college, and unfortunately, she met someone, and she was kind of really in love with that guy. So I was like, oh shit. I was like, okay, all right, miss my window.
So you think if you had been with her in high school that you guys would have gotten married? It would have been one of those things, high school sweethearts?
Definitely, definitely. But I think honestly, I think I think the reason why things went the way they didn't do was because of I as a religious person, I always say I put in the hands of God. And recently, there was an event that happened in my life that changed my whole family. It rocked our world. We are not the same family anymore. Well, I guess you could say in a way we're not the same family anymore because of the dramatic change in our life. And what I'm speaking out was that my dad was the heart and soul of this family. And a few years ago, he got into back-to-back car accidents less than 5 minutes of each other, and he went to the hospital, and they found out that he had a brain tumor. And they wind up telling us that it was cancerous, that he had stage 4 glioblastoma. And they originally only gave him 3 months to live, but he wound up living for about an extra 2 years and half a month, and that's when we lost him. We lost him about a year ago, a little over a year ago. But I mean, like I said, my dad was the heart and soul of this family, and he was all of our rock. He kept us all going. The good times, the bad times, and dad was always there for me when I needed someone to talk to. And my dad died at a very young age, and it was hard. It was really. Thank you guys. It was really hard on my family, and we're just, I think I can honestly say we're just getting back to living our lives and trying to get used to not having dad there. And yeah, it's been something.
Well, I'm very sorry that happened. I know you had mentioned that once before, and I am really really sorry. I could never imagine having lost my dad, at an early age. So I do say that I am very sorry. Um, and I'm sorry that you let your high school crush get away. And I will say that there is someone that I crushed on him so bad. I mean, I had a serious crush on him, and I think about him from time to time. I haven't seen him in over 30 years, almost 40 years, whatever. But I think about him from time to time. It's like, what would have been like if he was my boyfriend, back in high school. But like I
Hmm.
said, I was the nerd.
Yeah.
So
And I don't even know if she got married, to be honest, because like I said, like I know she was dating someone, but I keep up with her sister a little bit more because I had a little bit more classes with her little sister than I had with her. Um, and like I know like her little sister said last time I talked to the little sister, saying that she was kind of having problems with the dude. So I'm like, fingers crossed. I'm like, please give me another chance. So God, if it's in the cards, please.
okay. Well, I'm going to move over to
Mm.
Shannon. Shannon, what do you think? Do you think that your your years, between the ages, 10 and 30, and just everything that we're talking about. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah. I didn't really have a crush in high school because I had a high school sweetheart all the way through high school, and we broke up right as high school was, about to end, and then I started dating another guy. So I actually only had two boyfriends my whole high school era, but I did fall in love, and I do believe that I met the love of my life when I was about 24 years old, and he's still the love of my life. And even though I've had many relationships, well, not that many, but I know he's the one. And he kind of like two ships in a night, and I still believe that we're going to end up and grow old together. Is that,
Wow.
is that hokey?
No, no. I mean, it isn't. It isn't. I mean, if that's what you hope and think, then
Yeah,
you
because
know.
we belong together. He's for me. He's the one. Um,
Well, I do believe the saying that there is somebody out there that's been waiting for you your entire life. And I know that may sound, silly, whatever, but I do believe that there, that there is someone out there who's just been waiting for you, so my next question is, because, Jimmy, you and Shannon both brought up something, and I want to throw this out here. You are with someone, okay, your freshman year, and you meet someone, okay, and you guys, become boyfriend, girlfriend. So then you go through your sophomore year, your junior year, and your senior year. Do you think in high school you should tie yourself down to one person your entire high school um, life or career in high school, however you want to put it, with just one person? Or are you missing out? Is that person limiting you from doing something else? Because if you want to go hang out with your friends, they're like, well, why do you got to hang out with them? Whatever. Or if you want to do something else, that person is always kind of there. Do you think that you should not date in high school so you can just um, experience more of high school? And I'll go to Crucible Man. I'll start with you.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because when I was in high school back in the 70s, I went to an all boys high school, and a lot of girls went to all girl high schools. There was one public high school that was co-ed. And I was one of the very few, I can count on one hand the number of classmates I had who had girlfriends. And I met my girlfriend in our sophomore year, and we spent a lot of time together. And I got a lot of grief from my friends. Um, I was still able to spend a lot of time with my friends. I still went out with them on Friday nights or Saturday nights, or we one or the other, and my girlfriend would go out with her friends. So I was able to experience, both sides of high school, both having a girlfriend and, going to parties and playing sports and doing all those things. So there was never really a thing of why do you have to go out with your friends tonight? Neither one of us ever said that. But I remember getting a lot of grief from my friends who they were a bunch of knuckleheads and kind of a bunch of Neanderthals, and none of them, could come within 100 yards of getting a girlfriend, and they probably knew it. So the obvious thing to do was to ridicule somebody who did have a girlfriend, and I took it good naturedly. I knew they were just trying to, make me, single me out and make me feel different and everything. But I think your high school years, the complexion of your high school years changes whether you have a girlfriend or not. You spend your time differently. I think you can do both. I did know some couples who were so exclusive. I mean, it was really kind of disturbing, where they wouldn't even go to parties together. They spent all their time like in the basement of one of their, parents' homes or something, and they didn't socialize. So those people, I think, yeah, they probably retarded their social progress just a little bit. But having a girlfriend for 3 years in high school, I think helped me develop my relationship skills. I had to behave differently. I had to have different manners. I had to be, polite. I had to be around my girlfriend's parents. They were judging me. So I had to develop a different side of me because I had a serious girlfriend that my friends didn't have to. Now, does that make any difference in the long run? I have no idea. But I do know that I had to change my personality and change some things about how I behaved because I had a girlfriend that was, evaluating me. And, sometimes you felt like you were between the devil and the deep blue sea. Here's your girlfriend wants you to behave a certain way. And when you behave that way, your friends ridicule you for being, pee whipped, and, you can't win. But if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't change a thing. I really liked having a girlfriend in high school.
Okay. All right. Now, Shy Lady says dating in high school shouldn't be so serious. And Mimi says when you're young, you experience real love. I believe is pure. Or I'm sorry, let me read that again. You experience real love, I believe, and is pure. So, Shy Lady, I'm going to go to you. What do you think? Do you think that having a boyfriend or girlfriend in high school is kind of limits your high school experience?
I think it does. I had a boyfriend mostly during high school, and I think if I wasn't on the phone for hours with him, I could have had more of a social life outside of him. Did more extracurricular activities. So I think it's limiting, and I didn't really allow my kids to date in high school because I didn't want the same thing to happen to them. And my kids love their high school experience. They were really socially involved, sports, after school stuff, and I think sometimes too kids get too seriously involved in relationships in high school, and they really don't even know, in my opinion, what love is, because I think love is a choice. Love is something that um, is deep. Is deep. It's real deep. And I don't think, not to say that you can't have a feelings for a person, but um, love is a deep thing. It's a real deep.
Okay, but what about what Mimi said? She says when you're young, you experience real love is pure, and she says I don't agree. You should have done that. Your kids may not have had the same experiences as you. My
Well, my
opinion.
my kids thank me for that because I have two kids who have academic scholarships to the school of their choice, and they came out of high school with straight A's, and they had a great time. My kids loved high school, so you know that's why I said that they shouldn't. Now, did they sneak out and meet somebody at the mall, at the movies? Yeah, but they didn't really bring nobody up in here. But I knew that they were seeing people out of the house. I wasn't crazy. Drop me off at the mall. I'm meeting my some girlfriends up there, or I'm meeting some guys up there. I know my youngest son. He's 17 now, and he asked me to do that. Oh, I'm going to the mall to meet one of his friends. When I drive around, leaving the mall, I'm driving around going another way to avoid traffic because they were supposed to be going to the movie theater. He has a girl with him, and his friend has a girl with him. So I was like, okay, but I never said anything to him because I knew it was innocent. And to this day, I'm really proud of my son because my son has received two academic scholarships for college out of state, and my son also has received some scholarship offers to play football as well. So I'm very proud of the fact that I did kind of let my kids be kids and not be like in like adult type of relationships. Because I think that's not really good for high school. That's just my opinion.
Okay, all right. You guys, hold on one second. There's Mimi. Okay, Mimi, I know you want to give a rebuttal to Shy Lady. So welcome.
Hey everybody. Um so for the question, I believe at a young age you experience real love. I believe that that's the time where it's pure. Hey girl. Um I believe that it's pure, and it's genuine then. That's when you experience, how people say I met my first love, and it's you experience all of those feelings. You know what I mean? You you get to experience the butterflies. You get to experience, oh, I can't wait till I see them. And you experience all of those feelings and emotions um, um, when you're young. Now, when I said that, I don't agree that she should have, um, not allowed her kids to date in high school. That's just my opinion. I feel like, us as parents, we tell our kids that we shouldn't go down certain paths, um, that we went down, and it's their own experience. You know what I mean? Their experience may not be the same that we went through. So I feel like, trying to stop them from, experiencing the world and experiencing the things that we have done and stuff like that, it prevents them from, how could I say this? Making their own decisions. I know a young lady that went out and her mother kept her, hindered her from doing different things, kept her in the house and, sheltered her. And when she got out, she went buck wild. She was a hoe. Excuse my French, but she got out and she was doing all type of stuff.
Let's not use the word hoe. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. That's why I said excuse my French. But she got out and she was doing all type of stuff. She was messing with different men, but that's because she didn't get to um experienced that. Her mom kept her sheltered. And I mean all the way up until she was 18. So she wanted to do this, she wanted to do that. She wanted to see it all. So I think as parents we should give our kids that leeway, and allow them to make their own mistakes and allow them to make their own decisions, to a certain degree.
Okay, I am going to bring everyone else on, but I do want to address this to Mimi. Shy Lady says kids need guidance and wisdom. I experienced butterflies when I met my husband at 25. And Shy Lady says my kids had a car in high school. They had lots of freedom. So, Mimi, do you want to respond to that?
Well, so I don't want you to take that the wrong way. I just mean that I'm not saying that you just sheltered her and sheltered your kids and didn't allow them to do anything. I just think that as parents, we try to keep our kids from making the same mistakes that we did. So we tell them no, no, you can't do this, and no, because I said so. And without giving them an explanation, or not saying that you didn't, without giving them an explanation, or we, try to keep them from doing stuff so they won't make the same mistakes. And they end up making those mistakes later down the line.
Okay. Shy Lady, I am going to go to you, but first I'm going to go to Shannon because I know Shannon wanted to say something. Shannon, you have the mic.
Okay, actually, Mimi, I love you, but on this question, I'm with Chai Lady. I really think because the high school years, you don't get to relive those. That's a one-time shot. And all the hormones flying when you're at, boys are at their sexual peak at 17 and always, I mean, that's their whole thing is, what I mean. And if you preventing them from getting serious, maybe occasional day, but for preventing them from getting serious and focusing on their studies and having new experiences, that they would actually have a lot more things under their belt, tools to provide them with situations that would occur when they're just a little bit older, because your love interest is gonna, or whatever, you fall in love, it's gonna happen later on down the line, but you don't get that do-over, that whole true high school experience. And things are so dramatic when you're in high school. If it doesn't, break up, it seems like it's the end of the freaking world. And then it deters them from their studies or other extracurricular activities. And I actually agree with Chai Lady 100%.
Okay, I'm okay. Hold on, Mimi. I am going to come back to you, Jimmy. What do you think?
What was the question? Oh, sorry, I
Do
had
you
stepped
think?
away.
No. That's fine. Do you think you should date in high school? Do you think that dating in high school limits your high school experience by doing other things?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't. I honestly, I think it's great if someone can find a boyfriend or girlfriend in high school and they're dating, um and if each other have a mutual respect and understanding that each one wants to separate time away from each other, spend time together doing something else, or doing different activities and stuff. That's great, but you shouldn't be stuck in a relationship even in high school. No, none of the kids should be stuck in a relationship where they feel like they're dragging weights, because that's not healthy in a relationship. Making you feel like you're dragging weights. You know what I mean? You know
Okay.
what I'm trying
All
to say?
right. All right. And Mimi is giving love out to both Shannon and Shy Lady. So that's what we like on this show. So,
Yeah,
okay. So,
and it also helps.
um,
And it also helps develop, their their how to have a relationship when they get older. If if they start in high school, they understand, like, oh, I did this wrong, or oh, I did this right, and they can just keep progressing and be uh a better boyfriend or lover, I guess you could say is a word, in the future.
okay. All right. Mimi, I'm going to go to you. Then I'm going to go to Crucible Man because I know you wanted to say something
Um,
to what Shannon was saying, or Shy Lady.
okay, so yeah, I mean, I get what both of you are saying, but sometimes that calls rebellious. And then what do you do? Because now they see their friends, because back when I was growing up, it was different. And I'm only 29, and things have changed tremendously since I was in high school, tremendously. And so, now, kids see their friends going out, they see the social media, all type of stuff. So I think sometimes, you keeping them away from that type of stuff, it, it may cause them to be rebellious. And not all kids, not all children are going to be like that. Because some children, I know, but my daughter is like, okay, if I tell you to do something, that's what you do. And she's going to do it, but some kids have different, um, they need different teaching. You can't raise every child the same. So some kids may be rebellious, and then some children may be like, okay, I understand, mommy. So it's different. But I think that sometimes when we hinder them from doing, like I said before, doing certain things, it could cause them to be rebellious, or it can cause them to be upset with you and hold a grudge, and be resentful, because it's like, okay, mom, you didn't let me do this when I was younger. And then, like I said, sometimes they can make that mistake later down the line because they didn't get that chance to do that as kids.
Okay. Crucible Man.
My parents never, my mother particularly, my father was, busy working and doing what fathers do. But, my mother, she never ever dictated, you don't have a girlfriend or have a girlfriend. I mean, when I had a girlfriend in high school, my mother and my girlfriend's mother would talk frequently, and they were most afraid that I was going to get her pregnant and it was going to ruin our college plans and things like that. So that was the only concern. There was never any, you shouldn't have a girlfriend because you're restricting your other activities and things. And it helped me become more well-rounded, I think, at an earlier age than I might have otherwise. And, I said my friends loved to poke fun at me, even though we were good friends and it was all good natured. They poked fun at me mercilessly because I had a girlfriend, and they saw it as an opportunity to, you're whipped, you're under your girlfriend's thumb, that kind of thing. But to a man, every damn one of them would have given their right arm for a girlfriend in high school. But they were such knuckleheads and such Neanderthals in a lot of ways. Nobody wanted to date them. But if the opportunity came along, they'd have jumped on it so fast, they would have knocked the woman in the next week. So there was a bit of hip hop the whole thing. But I think you can do both. I think you can have a girlfriend or a boyfriend and also involve yourself in other activities. I don't believe it's a zero-sum game.
All right, Shy Lady, I want to give you an opportunity to give a rebuttal to Mimi or to Jimmy and Crucible, or agree with Shannon.
I'll agree. I'll give a rebuttal to all of them. But I agree. I agree. I agree with everyone to a certain extent. It depends on the parents. It depends on the child as well. Because like Mimi said, she knew people that went buck wild. I knew people that had strict parents when I was growing up. I mean, strict. Couldn't go anywhere. I never restricted my kids to go places. What I did say to them was, be careful. Don't get really caught up in relationships in high school, because more than likely it's not going to last. I would tell them I knew very few people that I grew up with that actually later on in life got married and had kids and stayed together. And I said, usually high school romances don't last. Are there a few exceptions? Absolutely. Now, if my daughter had came home or whatever and said, there's this guy at school in high school that I really, really like. I met him. He came from a good family, and I would have probably said, yeah, stay in touch, go on group dates, things like that. But I knew she had crushes. She would tell me about some of the guys that she liked. And I knew some of them. Some of them were on sports teams. But the guys that she liked, they were the guys that every girl liked in the school. And unfortunately, one guy did break her heart. And she's, keep in touch with him on Facebook or whatever. But I always told my sons as well, don't get all caught up, because it's probably not going to last. And I didn't want them to do anything that they were going to have regrets. And I just told them some of the experiences that I had and people that I had known, but they were never restricted. They could go to the movies. Like I said, I know they were sneaking and meeting people up at the movies. I knew that. I mean, I wasn't crazy. I knew they were meeting people at the mall. I knew all of that. Even from junior high, they were doing that. And I just told them, be very, very careful. And as far as love, to me, love, I think in high school a lot of it was infatuation, because love is more than just, oh, you look so good, I'm gonna stay on the phone with you for hours, you so sweet and nice. Love is standing there, and like a marriage, love is standing there, and if I got sick, my husband would be there to take care of me. If he got sick, vice versa. You can't really depend on that when you got two high school kids who really don't know anything about life. Love is a choice. Love is paying the bills. Love is doing things when you don't want to do, but you have to do it because you love that person.
But
Love is hanging in there. Yeah.
Okay, but Shy Lady, aren't you taking that just a little bit too far when you're just talking about just dating? I mean, you're just dating. You're not talking about buying a house and paying paying
Well,
a
but
mortgage,
I'm saying,
whatever.
what I'm saying is that sometimes people think because they're in high school that it is love and that it's everything, and it's not. That's why I try to tell my kids it's
Okay,
not.
but maybe, but for some people it is, because you have those people who were together since their freshman, sophomore year, and then they end up getting married, and they're married for 75 years,
That's what I say.
right?
There are exceptions. There are exceptions. And that's what I told my kids. I said before, if my son or daughter had brought someone home and I knew the family and I knew it was a nice kid, I probably would have encouraged it. But most of the kids that I knew my kids liked, I didn't want them to have anything to do with them or their families. I knew about them, and I discouraged it because I knew that it would not end well for my kids.
But okay, but and Ziller, I know you are waiting, but I just want to ask Shy Lady this, okay? But don't you think? And again, I'm just playing both sides here. Don't you think that sometimes, especially when you're young, you have to experience that. You have to experience that heartbreak. You have to experience it not ending well for them to be aware and ready the next time, because Mama Bear is not always going to be around to help you.
Absolutely. And both my kids experienced that, the ones that are grown now. My son experienced that from the girl he took to prom. She broke his heart. And then my daughter experienced that when she was a sophomore. This guy she was so crazy about. I know, like I said, I know she was meeting him up at the movies, at the mall, and they used to hang out. I'm not, like I said, I'm not crazy. I know she was hanging out with him, and he broke her heart. He broke her heart.
Okay. All right, and maybe it's necessary for hearts to get breaks, so or just hearts to get broken. Sorry,
Oh, and I do want to say this, and then you can pass the mic, whatever. And I want to say that the reason why he both of them got their heart broken is not because they were so seriously involved, but because they had put so much time and had these expectations that didn't come out the way they wanted. The guy that my daughter was so crazy about, he wound up dating some other girl, and uh, just like telling my daughter, well, if you're not gonna give it up, then bye bye. And that's kind of the way it was.
Okay, but at the same time, it's like those are still stepping stones. Those are still things that kids have to learn on their own,
Yeah,
so they know the next time they're ready and they're prepared for that girl that might break your heart, for that boy that says, unless you're going, give it up, then whatever. So
yeah,
that prepares them.
yeah.
So maybe instead of saying no, don't go out with that guy, maybe they should have gone out with them, to see,
But they
especially if you
did. That's what
know.
I'm saying. They did.
Okay,
They
okay,
did. They went behind
okay,
my back, and like I said, they were sneaking out at the mall and at the movies, and so I know that they did, and that's
okay,
what happened. Mhm.
okay. Ziller, you've been waiting patiently. What do you want to add?
First of all, the title. No, I would not do high school. I'm disabled and I hated it. I was bullied the whole entire time I was been from preschool to high school. It sucked. And going back to chill lady said, that's part of high school. Dating is that's just dating. That's gonna happen. What Mimi said is um Mom Bear can't protect you at all times. That's what's going to happen in dating at all times. So yes, unfortunately, yeah, that's going to happen. I'm sorry, but but on to my end, that's high school sucked. I went after I got high school. I went up to the top of the mountain and grabbed my diploma. Went to my house and gave the two middle fingers and finally said, "Hallelujah! Thank God it's fucking over." Hallelujah! Out of here. Went to college and had a better thing than that. So no, high school for me, I'd say fuck it.
Okay, all right. Crucible Man.
What was the question?
You just well, no, there's no question. Do you want to just add for what you've been listening to? You want to add in? I mean, you want to add into anything?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, I'm passing the mic to Mimi. Mimi, I've been watching your comments down here, so so I'm not going to read them. I'm just going to let you say them. So
Yeah, I just go back to what I was saying, but I agree with Shy Lady, just to a certain extent. That's all. And like I said, and like Zilla said, that's gonna happen, in high school. Parents, we can't protect our children from getting a heartbreak, having a heartbreak. And I remember my mom telling me that, and it's funny that Shy Lady said that. She said her daughter went through with a guy and she was dating him. And then, he broke her heart because he said, if you ain't giving it up, you got to go. And I went through that in the high school. A guy, he didn't say that, but his actions showed that. He was messing with a young lady that was, having sex. And I'm like, I'm not on that. I'm not trying to lose my virginity. And so, he still maintained his respect for me, but he was creeping with her on the low, before that reason. And I just think that we have to experience that. We have to experience those heartbreaks. We have to, they say experience is the best teaching. So you got to go through stuff in order to know and in order to grow. So if you haven't went through nothing and somebody tell you how it is, then you like, well, I don't know because I ain't never been through it. And you're going to want to try it, period, point blank. And sometimes, like I said, we are resentful towards our parents because it's like you didn't let us do that when we were children. Some kids, are they not they don't feel that way, and then you got some kids that do become resentful to their parents. So I just think that we have to let them make their own decisions, let them make their own mistakes to a certain degree. Also, you have to, yes, be strict. Certain things don't allow them to do, but to a certain extent, you have to be their friend as well.
You make a very good point. And on that note, before we close, I'm going to go around the room and let everybody give their 2 cents, 5 cents, or $1.50. What are your words of wisdom you would like to leave? Shy lady.
Words of wisdom regarding this topic. I never want to go back to high school. If anyone does have any kids out there that are uh, will be that age, I agree with Mimi. You do have to allow them to experience things on their own, but you have to also, again, be a parent. And I think it's important too that you be the kind of parent that your child can respect, and and kind of not. I know people say, "Oh, you shouldn't be friends with your kid." No, not really friends, but they should be able to come to you and have a conversation with you where they don't feel inhibited or they don't feel like you will shoot them down. And so I think that's important.
Okay, Jimmy, you have any last words of wisdom you would like to leave?
Sure, why not? I just say, always be happy. Don't let people
Amen.
get you down, and no matter what they say or do to you, you know who you are, and you know who you're not, and it doesn't matter what negative stuff they say to you. So it shouldn't affect you because of that. Also, if you really do love somebody, don't be afraid. Tell them, ask. You'll never know if they feel the same way for you or not if you don't ask or you don't try.
Okay. And Miss Shannon, do you want to leave any last words?
Boy, he is really a sweet man. Um, whoa. Um,
Thank you.
I definitely agreed with Chai Lady 100% this entire time. Uh, Staying on topic, high school, would I have done it over again? I wouldn't have done it over again, but I would have done some things differently. And granted, yes, I loved my boyfriend that I had all the way through high school, but it didn't last, just like she said. And if I hadn't have had all those distractions and I still was very active in high school, but if I hadn't have had that and devoted my time to other things, I I could have been a senator by now or the president of the United States, just anything. I mean, I'm happy with where I am being a graphic and web designer now, but maybe I wouldn't have been such a late bloomer. So I really think, like you said, you don't get to go back to those high school years. You got one shot and you try to do it as as best as possible. But I do also agree with Mimi that the rebellion side of it, because some kids do that. But I just really wish I would have devoted more time to the college path instead of getting into the bartending where, whoa, I made a lot of money, more than most college people coming out of having a bachelor's degree. And I just got stuck, and I was a late bloomer, and thank God it's better late than never. So I love you guys, and I always love being on this panel.
Okay. And Frankie says that this is a good panel, and it is. And I'm going to go to Crucible Man. What are your last 5 cents, 10 cents, or $1.50?
There's no one way to go through high school. There's all kinds of different routes through high school, and I think the role of parents should be not necessarily to dictate what kids should or shouldn't do, have a girlfriend, hang out with this group of friends, but to remind them and to give them confidence that it's only 4 years. Yes, it's an important 4 years because of all the things that we've talked about, but it is only 4 years. It's going to change. You've got your whole life ahead of you. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Don't judge yourself by what other people are or aren't doing. Stick true to your individuality and have confidence that eventually you will figure this thing called life out. It doesn't all begin and end from freshman year to senior year. And I think the role of parents should be to provide that wisdom when kids, that kind of wisdom,
Hey,
perspective, and
man.
maturity that kids just aren't
Yeah,
able to provide for themselves.
I'll be off in a minute.
Okay. And Mimi, do you have any last words you would like to add?
I would say that I will go back and do high school all over again, but I wouldn't change anything. I would just like to go relive it again, because it's not the same anymore. You don't see kids playing on playgrounds and the monkey bars and writing letters and do you like me? Yes or no circle. You don't see that stuff no more.
No.
It's all social media and things like that. You just don't see it. So I would like to go and see that again. But I wouldn't change anything because the things that I went through in my past has made me the woman I am today. So now the words of wisdoms, I would just say, remember to focus on what is best for you, not no one else, and not what feels right or feels easy in a moment. Do what's best for you for the long run.
Okay. All right. Everyone, this was a good show. And as always, my show does not work without all of you. And I always have such a great panel. Jimmy, thank you so much for popping in. I
You're
really
welcome. I'm about to add
appreciate.
one last thing. One last
Yes.
thing. Just
Yes.
just remember, everybody, it's never too late to try something new or to go do something. It's only too late when you're buried 6 feet under.
You are so right. You are so right on that because I am going to be 60 next month and I am still doing things that, it's like life has not stopped for me. And
That's good.
there's, until like you said, until they drop that dirt, that dirt on me or fire up that furnace, whatever. I am going to keep going until I drop. So Jimmy, you are so right. You are so right. So I want to also give shout outs to Slightly Serious, to Ruthie, Feisty One, and Frankie, and let's see, just mentioning people who were not on the mic but still stuck around. So thank you so much, and to everyone else, Mimi and Frankie, thank you for your pod beans, and all of you, thank you for the likes. But next week I'm going to be talking about some really serious stuff. But I do want, so if you guys are listening, please, I want to do a show with millennials and baby boomers. I am a baby boomer and I have my thoughts, on certain things and what have you. And I'm not talking politics, I'm sure that might come up, but I'm just talking about just life. And I know that what I think in terms of a baby boomer, considering what millennials think, or Gen X's or Gen Z's, I can't remember what generation we're in now. I would just like to just throw some ideas, back and forth. What do you all think? So that will be one of my shows for next week. But again, you guys always speak your truth. Go where the wind takes you. And today, Thursday, is my Friday. I will not be back until Monday. I do want to give shout outs to Mimi. Mimi's show is on Sundays and Tuesdays. You guys, if you haven't listened to Mimi's show, you have to check it out because there is some serious dialogue there. There's some serious things that people to talk about. So Mimi, if you want to talk about your show real quick before we go off.
Yes, my show is on at Tuesdays and Sundays at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. We talk about everything. It's it's not limited. We talk about everything. Now, I do tell people to be cautious because it does get crazy in there sometimes, and people be acting a fool. But at the end of the day, we all are family, and you know, it's just it's positive energy. You know, we root out all the bad people, but it's always positive energy. It's always a lot of feedback, and like I said, we talk about everything. So definitely check us out. Tune in. Tune in.
Well, I will definitely be tuning in on Sunday because Mimi does talk about everything. And Shannon, I want you to talk about your show because Shannon has a bomb music show. I mean, we're talking blues, jazz, rock, whatever, and you all have got to listen to her show. So, Shannon, you want to talk about your show?
Well, thanks so much for the plug.
Well,
I guess
sure.
my show, yes, my show's on, excuse me, on Monday nights at 9:30, the Monday Night Blues Show, and my rock I'm gonna have continuously on Fridays at 8 o'clock p.m. It'll be mainly classic rock, and I hope you will be there. I'm gonna mix Friday show with just a few little rock trivia, like for like 3 or 4 questions, and then I'm gonna do a guess the mashup. So, but it should be a cool show. So please join me, and till next time, entertain your own down south.
That's what she says at the end of her show. Okay, and Shy Lady, I'm sorry, Shannon. Shy Lady wants to know what time is your show?
Tomorrow night it'll be at 8 p.m. And on
8 p.m. Central.
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, 8 p.m. Central, so it would be 6 p.m. out west
Okay.
and 9 p.m. on the east. So
Okay. All right.
Monday
So on
night
that,
at 9:30. Sorry.
okay. So on that note, guys, again, go where the wind takes you. Have a good weekend, and I will see you on Monday. Bye. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you so much.
Girl, I can't believe you're going to be 60. There's no way. You look at least 10 years younger.
Well, thank you. I told you my mom was 86 when she passed, and she looked like she was in her 60s. And I told you the reason why.
You got good genes, honey. She's adorable. She's beautiful.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. So yeah, I am old. Oh, I'll plug this. I am
60 is the new 40.
I am. Yes, true. 60 is the new 40.
You're as old as you feel.
Well, exactly. And I do not feel old. There are things that I still want to do. So when I first moved out to California, I jumped out of an airplane, and I want to do it again. So
I'll do it with you.
Hey, all you gotta do is just get out here, girl.
I'm a-coming.
So yeah, I mean, I've done rock climbing. I've done whitewater rafting. They're just, I mean, I have many more things to do until God calls me home. I'm going to keep going. Life is too short to just stop because of your age. Shy Lady, you're afraid of heights? Yeah, I bet you'll say that if the plane is going down and you have to jump, I bet you'll jump out of that plane. Okay, y'all. I'll see you later. Bye.